Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Calls. This is the 2026 Cognizant Classic DFS Tactics show. Per usual on a Wednesday night, we're going to take our final look at the forecast, see if a wave advantage has developed, and if it has, how we're going to attack that. We are going to take a look at the mixed condition model that I've made for Palm Beach Gardens and PGA National. We're going to build some lineups, take a look at my rankings, and back again this week, since it was so popular last week, we will build a community lineup to put in a big GPP. So we have a lot to get into. Let's not waste any time. All statistics provided tonight and moving forward are from both Fantasy National and the Rabbit Hole over at BetSperts. Rabbit Hole has acquired or merged with Fantasy National, so I am slowly migrating over to the Rabbit Hole. It has everything that you need at your fingertips to make the optimal wagers and build the best lineups week in and week out. So go check out the Rabbit Hole. You won't regret it. In the description of the video, there are links to all the social media. First off, my X and Instagram, where earlier this week I posted some research regarding past champions of the Cognizant Classic and Honda Classic. Some patterns that they all shared, and then players in the field this week who also share those patterns. You want to see the weekly research that I do on the PGA Tour, give me a follow at your preferred social media site. X is also where I place my weekly betting cards and top player usage in the DFS contest I play. That comes out every Wednesday after the DFS Tactics show, so that will be out later this evening. If you want to see the players I'm wagering with my own money and the players I'm using most often in my lineups, give me a follow over at X. And then lastly, for social media, Gabe's handle is in the description. He writes a great article called The Fringe. I would not recommend it if I did not believe in it. So go check out his social media page. Go follow him and show him some support. Also, because that is where we put our detailed write-ups for the 2026 Picks Challenge. He has taken a commanding lead after the first month and a half or so of the season. I've got a lot of work to do to try and catch him and to defend my title from 2025. So we're going to try and get back on the right foot in that regard for the Picks Challenge. But if you want to see our detailed write-ups and our reasoning for the picks that Gabe and I make every week, go give him a follow over at X, because we put it over on his social media page. And then lastly, for this intro, we are live. Chat's open. I want to hear from you all. I do have a poll question typed up, so I will post that after the intro. Would love to hear the community's thoughts on that. And then put your thoughts and opinions about the Cognizant Classic. Who's your favorite? Who do you think wins? Who's your favorite play? Who are you staying away from? And of course, as we get closer to the end of the show and we start building some lineups, be on the lookout for players that you want to highly recommend to put into the community lineup, and we'll put that into the big GPP, or the same GPP that we put in last week, the birdie. We'll put that lineup in towards the end of the show. So make sure you stick around for that. So we have a lot to cover. Let's get into it. Let's figure out our strategies and our tactics for the 2026 Cognizant Classic. We're going to start, as we always do, over at Windfinder and the Super Forecast. Good evening, Echoes. Thanks for jumping in chat. Very much appreciated. It's good to see you this evening. Hopefully you are ready for the Cognizant Classic. Let's make some money. We're going to try, considering Riviera was okay. Wasn't great. None of my outrights were anywhere close, but Kurt Kitayama certainly saved me in DFS. We're going to try and have some good plays for you this week. And my rankings are going to be very, very different than what I imagine a lot of people think. I've got two, not one, but two 6K plays in my top 10. So let me post this poll question, get the community's thoughts on this. With the lack of 10K players this week, since both of them withdrew earlier in the week, being Ben Griffin and Jacob Bridgman, how has the lack of 10K players affected your lineup building? And just understand that I only have 4 options. I tried to word them as best as possible. Are you getting more greedy up top? Are you building more balanced lineups since there's no 10K plays? Are you avoiding the 6Ks altogether? Or has it not affected your strategy and thought process? So would love to hear the community's thoughts on that. Feel free to put your opinion in there. And we check the forecast for Palm Beach Gardens. And I'm going to tell you, I've seen conflicting reports. Some places say that there's going to be a decent amount of rain in play tomorrow and over the weekend. Windfinder has nothing of the sort. And in fact, it's going to be very, very calm tomorrow. So depends on where your source of information is coming. I'm going by Windfinder. I've always went by Windfinder. It does not appear that we are going to get the rain and the wind that some places are calling for, at least per Windfinder. So with this, I don't see a wave advantage. I simply don't. The wind is maybe going to pick up a little bit at the end of the early morning wave. And then both afternoons, it's going to pick up, but nothing severe. Maybe 8 to 10 mile an hour sustained gusts into the low teens. This really isn't anything much, especially for Florida, to consider when factoring in wave advantages. And then there does appear to be some rain overnight Friday into Saturday, but very little wind. And then Sunday looks like it could be a little bit more windy. But overall, I don't see anything in terms of a wave advantage for the Cognizant Classic this week. So it hasn't affected me. The forecast has not affected me. I'm just playing the guys that I think are going to play PGA National the best. So that's how I see the weather. I will keep this up in case there are more questions later. But we turn now over to the rabbit hole and bet spurts. If I expand the time frame, and just in case Windfinder is incorrect and there is a little bit of wind, your top players in moderate and windy conditions in the field this week at the Cognizant: Shane Lowry, Ryan Gerard, Nikolai Højgaard, Vince Whaley, Sammy Valimaki, Alex Smalley, Max McGreevy, Kevin Roy, RNP, Rasmus Nergard Peterson, and Thorbjorn Olesen. So there's your top 10 in terms of wind performance, just in case Windfinder is a little bit light on the wind. But again, I don't see any wave advantage. I'm just bringing this up for your information as the viewer. And nothing really that we're going to take a big overarching look at, because the mixed condition model uses quite a few different filters this week. So speaking of, let's go ahead and get into the mixed condition model that I have built for the Cognizant Classic this week. We're going to start with 5% off the tee. Look, guys are going to have to keep the ball in play. There's a lot of water danger around PGA National. And we talked throughout the majority of the week how gaining off the tee is fairly difficult around here. You can see that here with the PGA National. Off the tee per drive, about 23% less, a whole lot less distance. So distance doesn't matter. A lot less driver usage. Distance from the edge of the fairways a little bit further. All of that. So it's a little bit harder to gain off the tee here. So because of that, I wanted to see the guys that are generally pretty darn consistently good at off the tee, especially when gaining off the tee is difficult and very difficult. I didn't want to overweight it, so I only have 5% in there, but 5% off the tee on courses that off the tee is difficult and very difficult to gain. So that's the beginning of the mixed condition model. More so, we are focused on irons. This is, to me, still a ball striking course, even though the putter is becoming more and more important around PGA National. Still believe this is a second shot or a ball striker's course. 15% in good drive percentage, meaning players are hitting fairways and or they are hitting the green from the rough or fairway bunkers or whatever. 15% good drives when there's high amounts of water danger, which is certainly the case for PGA National, considering there are 15 holes with water in play. Lots and lots of water danger around here. So I want to see the guys who are going to keep the ball in play Find fairways, find greens. That's going to be the key this week. 20% in approach. Again, the heavy emphasis in iron play this week. 20 full percent on who has been hitting their irons the best so far early in 2026. 10% proximity, 150 to 200. I toyed with this a little bit, went from 10% to 5% to changing it to 175 to 200 even. But very simply, majority of the approach shots, much like Riviera, come from 150 to 200. 21.5% each, 150 to 175, 175 to 200. And I'm covering this area a little bit differently in the mixed condition model. So 150 to 200 overall, because some guys will be in the rough. I thought about 175 to 200 from fairway, but then that really takes away from the players that might just miss the fairway. I thought about doing some distance from edge of fairway type stuff to make sure players weren't, hitting it in the water or way offline. Just kind of settled on this in terms of ball striking for the week. 5% putting on Bermuda greens, going back to the beginning of last year. 10% specifically on Tiff Eagle Bermuda greens. This goes back all the way to 2022. Now you're asking, Nick, why are we doing putting on both Bermuda and Tiff Eagle Bermuda? Well, a lot of players in this field haven't played on Tiff Eagle Bermuda yet. Kapalua wasn't seen this year. The RSM, Port Royal, we don't get putting statistics at Port Royal. Of course, PGA National. There's quite a few players that don't have any statistics on the specific surface. So I included some Bermuda putting going back to last year for some of the players that may have played the Sony this year, or maybe played some events in the fall like Sanderson Farms. I'm trying to think of any other Bermuda courses. RSM would be included in this. Port Royal Bermuda would be included in this. So, really, this is a small sample size. This is players like Rasmus Nergard Peterson, Jordan L. Smith, players that played the Sony. If they really putt well on Bermuda, I wanted to make sure I saw that, because maybe they are just pretty darn good on Bermuda. So 15% in putting in that regard, 10% on the specific surface, 5% on Bermuda in general, 10% birdie or better on easy and very easy. I do not think PGA National is going to play very easy, but there's no denying that the course has really lost a lot of its teeth when they've started to overseed the rough and sometimes the fairways. They didn't used to overseed this course, and that led to a lot of balls running through the fairway, through the rough, into the water. Now with the overseed, that overseed will catch the golf ball and keep it from running into the water. And you see the past couple of years it has been easy scoring conditions. 19 under, 17 under, whereas beforehand you had 14 under, 12 under, 9 under. Sungjae won at 6 under. The course has changed over the past couple of years, considering they have started to overseed it. So we're not looking at bogey avoidance. We're looking at birdies or better. And I always try to match the scoring metric with a scoring filter, like very easy, easy, difficult, very difficult. You could look at short courses. That could work here. But with the amount of forced layups, I thought it was much better to look at easy and very easy. Instead of looking at bogey avoidance, we're going to look at double bogey avoidance. And I am using the filter Water Danger High, which is a very, very small set of data. But I want you to notice some of these holes around PGA National. There's a lot of double bogeys to be had. The par 4 6th, more than 5% double bogeys. Almost 4% on the par 4 11th. 3.5%. 7% to start the bear trap. 4.5% on the 17th. Lots and lots of water hazards around here, which will lead to penalty shots and double bogeys. So I wanted to see the players that, yes, they may get a bogey, but generally who keeps the ball out of the water. Double bogey avoidance on courses with high water danger. Only 5% in that. I thought this was a very narrow statistic and one that could be a little bit misleading, but I wanted to see if there was anybody really, really adept at it. We finished the mixed condition model off with 15% in par threes. Again, I've talked all week how I think the par threes are going to play a significant factor this week. 15% on how well a player has played par threes so far this year, and 5% in par fives, which is what I was alluding to earlier about incorporating some of these longer approach shots, because these greens do get attacked, or these par fives, do get attacked. Going for the green, 76 and some change percent. Birdies going for the green is 2/3. Going for the green, hitting the green when going from the green, 29%, much easier, much more common here. So I do think par fives are going to be a little bit of a factor. 5% in par fives. So there's a look at the mixed condition model for the Cognizant Classic and PGA National this week. I have absolutely zero around the green. I do not think that is going to be a big factor at all this week. If it is, obviously I will lose. I have no emphasis in par fours. If that's a factor, I will lose. If I needed more off the tee, then I will be weak, because I only have 5% off the tee. When gaining off the tee is difficult and very difficult. Maybe it's distance from edge of fairway. I do have a little bit with good drives, but this also incorporates a lot of iron play. So, I don't think it will, but if distance matters, I will be weak. Total driving. I've seen some people talk about total driving. So I am a little bit weak on off the tee as well. Bogey avoidance matters, not just double bogey avoidance, then I'll be weak. But that is hopefully the explanation and the reasoning behind the metrics and the filters that I have used this week to make the mixed condition model for the Cognizant Classic. So with that, we're going to move over to Microsoft Excel and the reveal of my rankings for the Cognizant Classic this week. As a reminder for returning viewers and for your information if you are a new viewer, my rankings are based on 3 criteria. The rabbit hole rank, which is a straight numerical ranking based on the mixed condition model we just talked about. Metrics, percentages, filters we just went over. The rabbit hole will spit out a ranking based on that model. Course value is an attempt at giving a player a numerical value at how well the player has played that course the last 5 years. A little bit controversial this week. I really thought about going back just the last 2 years, considering how much the course has been easier the last 2 years, but I didn't want to penalize players like Chris Kirk and others who have won here, even though the course was a lot more difficult when they won. So you could absolutely make the argument to go only the last 2 years, and probably starting next year, I'm only going to go back 3 years, meaning 24, 25, and obviously this year, 26. But do be aware, this is going back 5 full years at the Cognizant Classic or Honda Classic. And then the last factor in my rankings, we are playing DFS. We're trying to find unique options off of our fellow contestants. So projected ownerships, and these are from Gabe in his calculations. That comes out every Wednesday in his deluxe version of The Fringe. So again, really are missing out if you're not subscribed to it. These are his calculations. Projected ownerships are a part of my rankings. We are trying to find unique options off of our fellow contestants. My rankings for the Cognizant Classic go as such. 7,300, Sam Ryder is my number 1 player. I've talked about him quite a bit this week, especially if he got into the field. Spoiler, he got into the field. Been very good with the irons. He is the best putter on this specific surface. Very good on Bermuda in general. Has played exceptional around here. 4 for 4 the last 4 years. Lots of things to like here. Sam Ryder, my number 1 player, 6,800. Andrew Putnam is second. He is very, very unique, but even the rabbit hole and the mixed condition model liked him being 12th. Good evening, P. Thanks for jumping in chat. Very much appreciated. It's good to see you. Hopefully things have been going well in your neck of the woods. It's been a little while. Thanks for jumping in chat this evening. How has your wagering and DFS gone and all of that? But it's good to see you in chat this evening, P. Andrew Putnam, number 2. A lot to like here as well. Very good putter on the surface, very good putter on Bermuda in general, and especially when you don't have a lot of emphasis and off the tee, Andrew Putnam will rise, like I don't have a lot this week. Ryan Gerard, Shane Lowry, and Johnny Kiefer round out my top 5. Sorry I'm late, still busy dunking on Canadian hockey fans on Twitter. Excellent. I concur. Very good, P. Hope all is well. All is going well. The Wiffle Ball League officially ended tonight. We did win one game tonight and then got shellacked. So Wiffle Ball is over, and I will be back to my usual time from here on out, barring unforeseen circumstances. But good to hear that things are going well in your neck of the woods. As much as I'm not a hockey fan, I certainly tuned in to watch USA and Canada, both women and men, during the Olympics. Good evening, Turkey. Thanks for jumping in chat. Very much appreciate it. Congrats on the first win tonight. I appreciate that. Yeah, we have fun. Like I said, it's a co-ed wiffle ball league to just kind of get out of the house on in the winter. We have a good time. We're not nowhere serious about it. Of course, we're trying to win, but if we don't, it's not the end of the world. We won our first game and then played the team that hasn't lost in 4 years. So, that happens. Get out and have some fun. Exactly. Good to see you in chat, Turkey. Very much appreciated. P, I hope you're able to stick around, as I have started a new tradition. Last week, we are going to make a community lineup and put it in a big GPP, P. So hopefully you're able to stick around, put your thoughts and opinions on players, and help us put together a lineup that we all can agree on to put into DraftKings. Played in co-ed dodgeball and kickball leagues in Denver in the 20s. It's fun stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I go out there and have fun. We're one of the older teams in the league, and we stay competitive. Doug Gim in every slot. I don't know about that, but we'll see. So anyway, there's my top 5. Rounding out my top 10 very quickly. Blades Brown, 6,800 Blades Brown is 6th, getting helped obviously by the fact that he is super, super unique, but he has been the number 1 player on par 3s early on this year, so a lot to like here. Daniel Berger, 7th, Max McGreevy, Austin Eckroat, and Chris Kirk round out my top 10. No real qualms here. A couple of surprises, obviously. I'm sure people are a little surprised to see Andrew Putnam number 2. Very surprised to see Blades Brown number 6. I don't know if I'd put Blades Brown in my top 10, but I would definitely have him up there in my top 20 or so. I'm very high on Blades Brown this week. His irons have been okay. Again, 51st in this pretty weak field is nothing to be excited about. But he has been the best on par 3s. He's number 2 in good drives, especially when there's high amounts of water danger. He's put this surface fairly well, and putt Bermuda okay as well, just off your screen, of course, 28th. Has not been good on par 5s. You see the deep red, that's 100th. So he has to be better on the par 5s, but there's quite a bit to like here with Blades Brown. I'm definitely taking some shots on Blades Brown in my lineups this week. Otherwise, no real surprise other than maybe Austin Eckroat. I'm a little surprised he came up this high, but he's a very good ball striker. Actually putts this surface well. Of course, winning this 2 years ago. So makes some sense. So yeah, there's a look at my rankings for the Cognizant Classic. Of course, the 2 premier players in the field still left, Gerard and Lowry, 30%, but not getting hurt all that much because they were still 3rd and 5th by the metrics, and they've played very well here, especially Shane Lowry. If you were looking for me to try and help you fade one of those 2, sorry, not going to do it. So good segue. Let's go ahead and sort on the price board. Figure out. Oops. Let's make sure I do this correctly. Let's figure out where our fellow contestants seem to be going on the price board and how we are going to maneuver around them. Like I said in the poll question, there are no 10K plays this week, no 5 digits. Both of them withdrew earlier this week. So because of that, we're going to start in the 9s. 9Ks, Shane Lowry. Love Shane Lowry this week. I'm going to play lots of Shane Lowry. Not going to get away from him. He's 5 for 5. His past 5 trips here. Average finish of 11th. Couple of top 5s. Very good with the irons. He's actually putt this surface well. Not terribly concerned with this shady number here in good drives. You see the irons have been good. He generally keeps the ball in front of him. There's just a whole lot to like here with Shane Lowry. And the same can be said for Ryan Gerard. So I'm going to play lots of both of these players. I am extremely overweight on both of these players. Gerard, second in irons. Even though he's not a very good putter, he's decent on this surface. Top 5 in procs, 150 to 200. Taking advantage of par 5s, avoiding double bogeys. He'll keep the ball in front of him. Lots of like with Ryan Gerard. So I am playing a whole lot of both of these guys. If I had to choose between one of the two, I would choose Lowry, but I am splitting hairs there. I like both of them a lot, but I would choose Lowry ever so slightly over Gerard, which means I'm not playing a lot of the rest of the 9Ks, especially if I'm going to be very high on both of these players. I will play both Højgaard brothers, but I'm going to be a lot less than 25 and 20% on them. I'm talking more like 8 to 10% on both of them. So if both of the Højgaard brothers or either of the Højgaard brothers play well this week, I'll be in rough shape because I'm going to be quite underweight on them. Between the two Højgaard brothers, I would probably prefer Nikolai, although with him being 5% more ownership than Rasmus, maybe you start looking at Rasmus in that regard. But in a vacuum, just thinking purely by course fit and how I think they're going to play, I would lean Nikolai in that regard. Keith Mitchell getting some attention. Don't hate it. I don't like seeing 20% here, but I am going to have quite a bit of Keith Mitchell as well. Former winner at this course, granted a long while back when it was a lot more difficult, but he did win here. So he's very familiar with the course, as you can see by the very good course value here. It's all about the putter with Keith. Third off the tee, especially when it's difficult to gain off the tee. Generally plays pretty well when it's easy, although he plays better when it's difficult, but he's gotten better about just going low when it's birdie fest material. Top 15 in par 3s. Irons haven't been all that Keith Mitchell-like, but I'm not worried. I like Keith Mitchell. The one player that I am absolutely full fading in the 9Ks is Thorbjornsen. And it's a pretty scary fade. I get it. But his irons are not stellar yet. He hasn't been great on par 3s. There's a lot to like with Thorbjornsen, but because I'm playing a lot of Lowry, a lot of Gerard, and I like Mitchell, I can't play everybody. So Thorbjornsen for me is the one that gets squeezed out. I am playing literal 0 of Thorbjornsen. If he plays well, I will lose. Sorry about that. Like I said, I'm back. Sorry about that. Looks like my software kind of froze there for a second. My apologies on that. Hopefully you all heard the spiel about Thorbjornsen. I'm not playing any of him just because I'm all in on Lowry and Gerard. I like Mitchell. Can't play everybody. So I'm going to be fading some Thorbjornsen, or I'm full fading Thorbjornsen. If he plays well, I'm going to lose. RNP and Brooks are fine. I'm finding a way to put them in about 5% of my lineups. Between the two, I'm probably higher on Brooks, but he's also a little bit more projected owned. So Don't love him, but, I'll throw him into a lineup or two when I have the spare money. So that's the way I see the 9Ks. Moving down into the 8s, I like Daniel Berger a lot, but he is pretty popular. But I will be overweight on Berger. I just wish this ownership was a little bit lower. But Florida guy, generally plays well around here. A lot of this is from before the injury. If you look before he was injury riddled, like 2022 and before, he was pretty darn good around here. So, he's still hitting the irons very well. The par threes need to be a little bit better, but when it's difficult, Berger generally plays pretty well. So I do like Berger this week. I just don't like the ownership, but it is what it is. I am going to play quite a bit of Berger. I'm actually out on Aaron Rye, and a lot of it has to do with the putter. Like you see, he has never played well around the Cognizant. Like, this course value is hideous. The putter has been atrocious. He's just not good on Bermuda in general. If Aaron Rye plays well, so be it. I'll be late on him, but I don't think Aaron Rye is worth the price and the ownership this week, especially since I like Berger and somebody else a little bit lower in the 8s. Seabez, fine. I'm not excited about it, but it makes a lot of sense. He's played pretty well here. Will Zalatoris, I'm going to play sparingly. He burned me quite a bit at the Farmers. So I'm going to see where he is. I'm going to put him in a lineup or two, see how it looks. Max McGreevy is rated out well consistently the past 3 or 4 weeks. I don't like it at all, but my gosh, I mean, look at this. He doesn't have any bad statistics across here. Like, none. They're all green. So, I'm playing Max McGreevy, but I don't like it. I'm gonna trust the analytics here. 7th off the tee when it's difficult, or when gaining off the tee is difficult. Fine putting on this surface and Bermuda in general. Irons have been pretty okay. I don't know. I don't love it, but I'm gonna trust the metrics there. Household Link, fine, fairly popular, but fine. A lot of people are gravitating to Mac Meisner. I'm going to be very wary of Mac Meisner in DFS because I think he does have winning upside, but he also has pretty low floor, like Sam Burns last week. I mentioned there was at Riv. I thought Sam Burns had the widest range of outcomes. I think that's Mac Meisner this week. Those players, I generally tend to bet outright. So, sneak peek, I do have an outright on Mac Meisner this week, in addition to some others. But Mac Meisner is definitely on the betting card. That I generally tend to wager outrights on those players instead of relying on them in DFS. So that's the way I see the 8s. I love Berger. I'm going to use Berger. I don't like the ownership, but it is what it is. Full fading Aaron Rye. Full fading, Davis Thompson, Thorbjorn Olesen, Smalley, no thanks. I don't want to like McGreevy, but man, the numbers look great. So I'm going to play him, much to my chagrin. Lee and Meisner are fine. I'm just lower on Meisner, or at least I'm going to choose to have exposure to Meisner in terms of an outright, not DFS. Moving to the 7s. Chris Kirk. Like Chris Kirk quite a bit. He's popular for good reason. Good iron play. Good putter on this surface. I wouldn't worry too much about Bermuda putting. He's a southeast Georgia guy, I believe, so he's very comfortable with Bermuda. I like Chris Kirk. I'm going to play some Chris Kirk. But in the upper 7s, I'm more so excited about Johnny Kiefer. You see Johnny Kiefer rated number 1 without the course value or the ownership. He was number 1 per the analytics. 3rd in irons early on in 2026. The very small sample size he has on this surface has been good. 5th, birdies are better when it's easy. A lot of that is from last fall. I get it, but still, the Cognizant is a lot easier now. I like a lot about Johnny Kiefer. He would have been my favorite play except for this. This is a little bit too much ownership for me to designate him my favorite play. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to play lots of Johnny Kiefer. So be aware of that. Slight nod to Sami Valimaki, but at his same price, I'd rather go to Seamus. Seamus Power, yes, the course value is horrendous, but he's been excellent on par 3s so far. The irons have been okay. I don't know. This is a gut feeling that I think this is going to fit well for Seamus Power this week. Generally decent on Bermuda, decent on this surface. So I'm just going to bank on the 150 to 200, his mid to longer irons showing up a little bit this week. Again, nothing wrong with Sammy, but at that amount of ownership, I would much rather go to Seamus Power. Slight nod to Ricky Castillo. He was the first man out of my player pool. Again, you can't play everybody. This guy is not a very good putter, but yet he's a Southeast. He went to University of Florida, so good on Bermuda. Do not be surprised if Ricky Castillo shows some signs of life this week. He ended up getting cut for me because the irons just haven't been there in 2026, and that is his calling card. He is an immaculate iron player, and they have just not been there so far in 2026. Just giving you a nod, or giving a nod to Ricky Castillo. He was my last player cut in my player pool. Moving down into the low 7s. Number 1 player in my ranking, Sam Ryder. Going to play him a lot. Looks like he's actually getting fairly popular, which I hate, but he's been really good here. Top 5 in irons, top 10 good drives, especially in high amounts of water danger. Number 1 on this specific surface. A lot to like with Sam Ryder. I wanted to like Eric Cole a little bit this week, but hadn't been great in 2026 yet. He's got a runner-up here to Chris Kirk, I believe, in 2023. Again, you see the putter on this surface is great, but generally struggles off the tee. So I'm a little bit worried about Eric Cole. I wanted to like him, but he didn't rate out as high as I was hoping. Austin Eckroat, former champion, it's fine. I'm not in love with it. But generally, when a poor putter shows you that they like a surface or like specific sets of greens, you got to pay attention. Having said that, you see this course value. He is let's go in order. 2023, misses the cut. 2024, wins. 2025, misses the cut. If you're a big believer in patterns, then he wins this year, or wins this week. I don't know. He's just so Jekyll and Hyde. I'll play him. Not in love with it, but I'll play him. A lot of people have been talking about David Ford. And I'm going to tell you, I don't have a lot of knowledge about David Ford, just being fully transparent. But you look at the numbers, and they look great. Top 10 irons so far early in 2026. Top 10 in good drives gained. Top 10 in par 3s. The putter on Bermuda has been suspect. But there's not a whole lot of rounds here, so it's a very small sample size. Top 25 birdies are better when it's easy. A lot of this, again, is from the fall. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people talk about David Ford, so I'm going to play him. Maybe there's something I'm missing. I mean, he did rate out extremely well. I just don't know a lot about him. Same price, $5,100. Can't ignore Billy Horschel. Not on Bermuda greens. Bermuda Billy. He's played exceptional around here. Irons are okay, they're acceptable, but you're playing Billy for the course fit and the putter. Slight nod to Jesper Svensson. Even though this guy hits it a mile off the tee, he actually plays shorter courses better. Take the driver out of his hand where he can just hit 3 woods and irons off tees and really let his long iron proficiency play well, as you can see there. 11th and 150 to 200. Number 1 off the tee when gaining strokes off the tee is difficult and very difficult. So a slight nod to Jesper Svensson. Then we move into the 6Ks. And I'm going to tell you right now, despite the very soft pricing this week, I'm not afraid to go into the 6Ks. I'm playing 3 or 4 guys down here. I love a lot of players down here. Your most common or projected owned player seems to be threefold. You've got Austin Smotherman at 4.5%. No one below him getting a whole lot. 4.5 on Austin Smotherman, 4.5 on David Lipsky, and 4.5% on Andrew Putnam. Unfortunately, 2 of the 4 guys that I'm playing a lot are 2 of the 3 that I just listed. Andrew Putnam. Love everything about Andrew Putnam this week. I'm going to be so extremely overweight on Andrew Putnam. 4.5%. I'm more like 54.5%. I mean, I'm just playing a whole lot of Andrew Putnam this week. If he doesn't play well, I'll lose. Andrew Putnam allows me to build a lot of different styles of lineups, which I like this week with the soft pricing. Love everything about Andrew Putnam. And I like Austin Smotherman a lot, too. Number 1 iron player early in 2026. You're seeing that at least in this field. Let me clarify. But number 1 iron player ahead of people like Shane Lowry and Ryan Gerard and Brooks and other. I mean, he is the number 1 iron player early on this year. A lot to like just with that. He plays very well when it's easy. He actually gains strokes off the tee. His bugaboo is the putter. So, again, I am playing quite a bit of Austin Smotherman, banking on the irons staying red hot like they are, and banking on him making a singular putt to make the cut and then maybe make a move on the weekend. So, of the 3 very popular, or I can't say very popular, of the 3 popular plays in the 6Ks, I am going to play 2 of them. I like them a lot. But who else am I playing in the 6s? Well, another player rated out in my top 10, it's Blades Brown. I'm going to play quite a bit of Blades Brown. Number 1, strokes per game par 3. Number 2, in good drives. Has played well when it's easy. I like Blades Brown quite a bit. So I'll play a lot of Blades Brown. And then at the very bottom, now we're in my range. Love some cheapies. Yeah. Yep. Dumpster diving, I believe, is the terminology you use, P. But at the close to the very bottom, I want to highlight one more player. 310 to 1 Patton Kizzire. Now this could go sideways very, very quickly. But this guy has been hitting his irons okay. Pretty darn good with these par 3s. And you see the putter on Bermuda. It's pretty good. So he was one of the 8 players that fully fit the criteria that I posted from Monday. 310 to 1 Patton Kizzire. You best believe I definitely put a wager in on 310 to 1 Patton Kizzire. Like I said, I just want to give a nod to him. I'm going to play him in 1 or 2 lineups in DFS to see if he pops, because this could go sideways very, very quickly. Anyway, there's a look at the price board and where our fellow contestants seem to be going. We are going to make some chalky lineups, and then we're going to make some lineups to maneuver around them. And, of course, we will put a lineup together for the birdie. So let's take a look at what our fellow contestants seem to be doing this week with all the soft pricing. Sam Ryder at 7,300 is the only double-digit ownership from 7,300 and below. It does not appear many of our fellow contestants are even thinking about the 6Ks, which is why I like going to the 6Ks this week. I'm going to use Gerard here. This very well could be Lowry. Again, we're trying to make some of the chalkiest lineups that we see. Gerard is technically 1% projected more ownership than Lowry. This is Gerard or Lowry. Very well could be both, but I'm gonna save that for a little bit. Nikolai Højgaard is absolutely getting a whole lot of ownership, and I'm going to be quite a bit less on Højgaard, Nikolai. Coming on down here into the 8s, this could be Berger. Davis Thompson's at 15.5%. Max McGreevy's at 15.8%. Mac Meisner is at 15.7%. Let's do like a Mac Meisner and a Davis Thompson, I guess. What's that leave? 7,000. Nope. Let's do Max McGreevy. And this leaves 74. No one really there. Let's change this up. Next ownership is Sammy Valimaki 13.3, Rico Hoya 13.2. Let's do Rico because I'm not playing any Rico this week. That leaves 8,000 per player in the upper sevens. Yeah, Chris Kirk, Johnny Kiefer, and I like Johnny Kiefer, absolutely, but he is very, very popular. And then this is Max McGreevy. So this seems like it is a very, very, very popular lineup. 114 total ownership. Blech, nasty. Maybe this is Lowry and they come off of Nikolai or come off of McGreevy to Mac Meisner. You know, this could be another way they do it. Still 112.8, just ugly. This is going to be pretty popular style of lineup this week. So how are we going to maneuver around all that? Well, like I said, I have been getting my uniqueness by going into the 6Ks, leaving some money on the table like I did for the Genesis. Essentially, I'm treating this like a small field, limited field event, even though there's a full cut. I'm going down in the 6Ks and planting my flags on some guys. Andrew Putnam, Austin Smotherman, Blades Brown, even Pat Kazire. Let's do Austin Smotherman, even though he is technically the most popular, if I could type. But the way I've been going about it, and the answer for me to the poll question, I've been getting extremely greedy up top. I'm talking going Lowry and Gerard. A lot of times I'll even squeeze in like a Keith Mitchell or a Brooks or a Berger into this. Let's do Brooks. Like I'm telling you, Brooks Koepka's. I've just been getting extremely greedy up top because I'm not afraid to come down into the sixes for a Smotherman, for a Blades Brown, for a Putnam, Pat Kazire, whatever. The more you're willing to come down into the 6Ks, the more you're going to get unique, and the more that you can squeeze up here up top. I'm all about going to the 6Ks this week. I think probably 80 to 90% of my lineups will have at least one player in the 6Ks, at least one, which means I am building some double 6K lineups. But anyway, more often than not, I've just been getting real greedy, doing 3 9s. Sometimes a lot of times, I'm going Daniel Berger as my third 9, even though he's 8,900. And then rounding this out, with a few different players, like Sam Ryder can fit in here. I talked about Ricky Castillo at 75. Seamus Power at 7,600 could fit in this. If you want to save some money, you go Sam Ryder and go like Billy Horschel. Get even more unique. I know this total ownership is really ugly, but you've got essentially the 2 tournament favorites other than maybe Nikolai. Brooks, my number 1 player in my rankings, willing to go down and take a shot at a 6K play that I'm wagering this week. Billy Horschel loves this course. Like, these are the style of lineups that I've been building a lot this week. Just getting super, super greedy up top. Lowry, Gerard, Koepka. Lowry, Gerard, Daniel Berger. Lowry, Mitchell, Berger. Gerard, maybe I'll squeeze in a Højgaard in one of these. But this is the lineups I'm building. I'm telling you, 80 to 90% of my lineups will have at least one 6K. 100% of my lineups have Lowry and or Gerard. Not a single lineup of mine is starting lower than Lowry or Gerard. And 75 to probably 85% of my lineups are going both Lowry and Gerard. If I wanted to do like the double 6, if you wanted to just go absolute ham, like Johnny Kiefer could fit in this. And then 93 is Keith Mitchell. who I like. Like, again, I understand that this ownership is a lot, but I'm telling you, this is probably pretty darn unique. Even though you have 3 heavyweight ownerships here, you have 2 heavyweight ownerships, 2 middle, or like 2 heavy, but not astronomical, and then 2 unique options. So that's the way I've been building a lot of my lineups this week. I'm going to take some time here. I want the community to throw out some names. How are we going to build our lineup for the birdie this week? So I am opening the floor to the community. Last week I made the executive decision that Victor Hovland was going to go into the lineup. If you want me to make the executive decision this week, I'm probably going to go like Johnny Kiefer or Andrew Putnam. But I don't know if the community wants to put a 6K play in our lineup. So, again, I'm opening it up to the community. Throw out some names. We'll start considering them off to the side here. We're going to try and build a lineup. Are we wanting to play a lot of the chalk up top? Do we skip the chalk? John, good evening, John. Thanks for jumping in chat. Much appreciated. John says Sam Ryder. I don't hate that at all. Just note that he is the most popular player in his area of the price board, John. But number 1 player in my rankings, so I'm not going to disagree with you at all in that regard. Echoes shouts out Seamus Power, who I like quite a bit. He's going to be in a few of my lineups. I'll tell you what, I'm going to make the executive decision, and whether he fits at this exactly as the 4th man in the lineup or not, we'll see. I'm going to make the executive decision that Johnny Kiefer comes in. I'm just really, really high on Johnny Kiefer this week. Can you do course valid order before you end? Yeah, sure, I can do that. Just note, John, that this is going back 5 years. So this will incorporate the years that like the Honda was difficult. So it's not a perfect course value ordering, because you can make a strong argument to only go back the past 2 years when they've started overseeding the rough and the fairways. But I just went back the past 5 years. So I just want to make that clear, John, from the beginning. But there are your best course values. Lowry has played it 5 times. Adam Hadwin's only played it once in the past 5 years. So understand what you're getting there. But Kevin Hughes played well on 1 try. Putnam's been good, I think, in 1 or 2 tries. Chris Kirk's been amazing here. Sam Ryder, Gerard's been great here. Horschel. Thoughts on Hadwin? He didn't rate out well for me, only because he hasn't played on the PGA Tour in 2026. But he finished top 10 or top 5 in his most recent Korn Ferry Tour event. I would not sleep on Adam Hadwin. If you like Adam Hadwin, I think you can give him a go this week. I don't hate it, John. Again, I'm not playing Adam Hadwin just because he rated so low, and I'm really, really high on 2 or 3 6K plays. Blades Brown is somebody I'm really high on. Austin Smotherman, Andrew Putnam. So Adam Hadwin was one of my last cuts from the 6Ks. I did think about it this week. But anyway, there's your list of best course values, John. Scrolling down, guys who have not played it so well. These guys obviously have never played PGA National in the past 5 years. And then your very bottom players who have not been good here. And realize a lot of these are just one time. Like Rasmus has only played here once. Simpson, Lebiota only once. Smotherman's only played here once, and I'm really high on Smotherman this week. Seamus Powers only played here once in the past 5 years, I believe. So, I did not weight course history all that highly this week. Was not a big factor for me. We're sorting on salary. Let's go ahead. I was going to drop Smotherman. Americans get a bump. Okay, yeah. So we can look at Smotherman here. Like I said, I do want to wrap up this lineup here in the next maybe 3 to 5 minutes. So again, throw out all of your suggestions. I guess we'll put in Adam Hadwin there for John. Again, what kind of style lineup are we building? I'll make the executive decision that Kiefer's coming in. But are we going to play Lowry? Are we playing Gerard? Are we playing both? Or are we going to play neither? Are we going to try and fade all of that ownership? Are we building a balanced lineup? Are we going to be try and be greedy? Just throw out your ideas here. We've got a few mentions here. Looks like if we do incorporate a Nelson Smotherman or an Adam Hadwin, I would probably venture to say that we're going to only do one 6K if we do that. In the 9Ks, I mean, do we go? Like I said, I'm full fading Thorbjornsen if people want to look at Thorbjornsen. And I will do it for the community. Love Brooks in Florida getting brownie points with the $5 million charity donation. So a shout for Brooks. But I don't hate. I mean, I'll play him a little bit this week. There's Berger, RNP, Seabez, who's been pretty darn good around here. So, and we also have to decide how much money we want to leave on the table. I mean, of course, the more money we leave on the table, the more we're going to be unique as well. So I do like Sam Ryder quite a bit. I do want to incorporate Sam Ryder if everyone else is good with that, considering he is the number one player for me in my rankings. So we'll include Sam Ryder. We could fill out the team like this and leave, 3,000 on the table or something. But let's try and get just a little bit more here before we go to the 2026 picks challenge between Gabe and I. Using Sam Ryder in my 2-pick fantasy this week. I'm just a big believer in Sam Ryder this week. So I'm with you there, Turkey. If we want Brooks, let's see. Thoughts on it. So John wasn't necessarily shouting Hadwin out for the lineup. He was just asking about him. I don't mind going to Smotherman here, P, if that's what you want to go. We get certainly a lot of uniqueness off of that. We have Seamus Power. We have 3 players here left. Seamus is pretty unique. We have Brooks. So, if we put Brooks in the 2 spot, I mean, we got 9,700 per player. We could afford to do Lowry and Højgaard essentially, or Mitchell, or we go Gerard and Højgaard. We can skip the 8s altogether. I do think it looks like Seamus Power is off the table echoes. So we have 97 per player. That would mean we could go Shane Lowry and Nikolai. And that would fill out 50,000 even. That's the maximum we could do. But we could do RNP. Hoey, thoughts? I wasn't there with him, P. He's getting a little bit of ownership. Ball striking course, so you would think he would do well. But man, that putter is abysmal on Bermuda. It's been abysmal. And say what you want about the Cognizant, you're going to have to make some putts around here, especially since it's gotten easier. I understand he's been great off the tee, especially when gaining off the tee is difficult. pretty good when it's easy, but man, I can't overlook the fact that he hadn't put it together yet in 2026. Forget it then, can't putt. Team no putt. If we wanted to do a team no putt, like Luke List isn't in here either, or we could do like a Hoey and Luke List and pray to and Smotherman and pray to God one of our guys makes a putt at some point during the week, would be kind of funny. This is the absolute maximum we can go. Is Lowry and Nikolai Højgaard, but like, do we want Shane Lowry? Do we want Gerard? Do we fade both of the big ownerships and start with like, do we do the Højgaard brothers? Do we do Keith Mitchell? Do we do RNP? Put your favorite 9K play in just very quickly. The only thing we're not going to be able to do is Lowry and Gerard with these four. The only thing we're not going to be able to do is Lowry and Gerard. That's the only thing. So Lowry and Højgaard down, Gerard and Højgaard down. Don't hate riding with the brothers. Okay. So we've got one vote for Rasmus and Nikolai both. If someone doesn't step up in the next maybe minute or two, we'll ride with the brothers. What are you all? Somebody's mentioned how they're doing Sam Ryder in their pick 2 fantasy this week. What are some of the rest of you all doing with your lineups, or maybe on your betting cards? Michael P says Thorbjornsen. I'm not there on Thorbjornsen, but we can definitely do that. So it looks like we're okay leaving Lowry and Gerard on the bench. If that's the case, we need to choose 2 from this set here. Now, I'm full fading Michael Thorbjornsen, but if the rest of the community wants to play him, I'll play him. But he was the one player that I did not play among these 5. So we've got one vote for the Højgaard brothers. We got one vote for Thorbjornsen. I do kind of like the thought of the Højgaard brothers. Now, Nikolai is going to be pretty popular. But if we go both the brothers, I don't hate it. They just haven't been very good here. Keith Mitchell has been very good. That's my one concern with that. Echoes says RNP. I am a little bit more, because we didn't do Seamus Power, I am a little bit aching to include Echoes' mention of RNP there. All right. So we can play anybody from here. Is it Rasmus? Is it Nikolai? Is it Thorbjornsen? Or is it Mitchell? Or if we feel like we want Gerard and Lowry. We got one vote for one of the Højgaards and one vote for Thorbjornsen. So I'll keep it open. Let's do, unless somebody really drops a big name, I'm going to probably go, I'll probably go one of the Højgaard brothers with this one. Let's do Nikolai. And P, I know you were all in on the Americans. If Thorbjornsen beats Nikolai Højgaard, you can come into chat next week and blame me for chat not winning. But I will say chat did not, or the community did not perform well last week at the Genesis. We did not make a good lineup, so we're going to try and rectify that this week. I'm going to set this aside. Very quickly, I will give you my core. Ryan Gerard. A little bit of Keith Mitchell. Daniel Berger. McGreevy to a little bit lesser of an extent. Chris Kirk. I did not perform with the Genesis. Terrible week. Yeah, it wasn't great for me either. It was okay, but nothing spectacular. Sam Ryder, and then Andrew Putnam, and a little bit of Austin Smotherman, I suppose. Smotherman. Okay, so let me, like I said, Mitchell is a little bit more on the lower end of that. McGreevy's on a little bit of lower end of that. But that is my core for the week. I'm playing a lot of these players here in different combinations. So I know I put it out there last week, and we went to DraftKings. There's the contest for you. I have it up there. I'm just not going to take the time on the stream to put it in there, but I have the lineup saved for us. So I'll put that in after the show, but I do need to start wrapping this up. We're going to talk about the 2026 Picks Challenge. Gabe has taken quite a commanding lead over me. This week, for the Cognizant, we're going to do something different. We're going to go as far down the price board as we're comfortable, and we're going to pick 100 to 1 plus to win. Because there is no, big name favorite here this week with no 10Ks, we decided to have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to pick Andrew Putnam to win the Cognizant Classic this week, and Gabe's going to pick Chan Kim. My favorite play, Sam Ryder. Love everything about Sam Ryder. I'm going to play him in a lot of my lineups. Gabe's favorite play is Haotong Lee. I'm going to full fade Michael Thorbjornsen, and Gabe's going to full fade Keith Mitchell, which him and I are at odds with that. I like Keith Mitchell quite a bit this week. The ownership's a little bit scary, but sure. Mad Scientist play, I went with Austin Smotherman, not knowing he was going to be the most popular 6K play. So take that for what you will. I'm going to say Austin Smotherman. Gabe's going to go with Luke Clanton, who I don't hate, but I think there might be some fool's gold there. FOMO, fear of missing out. A lot of people have talked about David Ford this week. So I'm gonna make sure I play some David Ford in case there's something that I'm missing that a lot of these others are talking about. Gabe's going to make sure he plays some Christopher Raytan. And then West Coast bounce back. That's what WC. I couldn't fit all of that in the middle. Player that was very disappointing out on the West Coast on the California swing, or even at the Sony, who we think is going to bounce back, starting this week and probably throughout Florida. I'm going to take Chris Kirk. My second option was Daniel Berger, so Gabe's going to take Daniel Berger in that regard as the best bounce back from the West Coast. Again, reminder, go over to Gabe's social media page, play along with us over there, put your picks and play along with us. Or if you don't want to go over there, put it in the comments of the show this evening. We would love to have more community interaction in regards to the Picks Challenge. But that's going to be it for a DFS Tactics show. Let me bring this over to where you all can see it. That is our team that I will make sure to put into the birdie after the show this evening. That's going to be it for a DFS Tactics show. I got a lot of people to thank. I need to thank Echoes and P, Turkey, and John for jumping into chat. Very, very much appreciated. Thanks to everyone else out there who tunes in, watches, listens, supports the channel by liking the videos, commenting, and subscribing. I always appreciate it. I love what I do, taking a very in-depth look at golf statistics, giving you a statistician and data analyst view of what he sees, trying to help us all win a little bit of money in the process. Reminder that my betting card and my top player usage in my lineups will be out later this evening once I finalize those lineups. It's been a long, hectic day. Didn't get a chance to finalize all of my lineups, so be on the lookout for that. And of course, again, go over to Gabe's social media page, check out our detailed write-ups, and play along with us over there as well. So thanks again for all the support, for all the wagers you've made this week for the Cognizant Classic, for all the DFS contests you play this week for the Cognizant Classic. For this weekend and every weekend, may all your bets be profitable.